Clicker training is really gaining in popularity, and that's a good thing because it's a very effective way to train an animal. Unfortunately, many people think they are doing clicker training when in fact what they are doing is some form of balanced training. Clicker training is about far more than simply using a clicker, and there are some definite clues pet owners can keep in mind to help them know whether a dog training instructor is a real clicker trainer. In this short tutorial, I will give you 7 of them. Why does it matter? Well, clicker training is not clicker training unless it adheres to the principles and techniques which define clicker training methodology. Additionally, clicker training gets a bad rap by attributing training which is not clicker training to genuine clicker training and concluding it has limited effectiveness. A lot of what is currently being called clicker training is actually a form of balanced training. Balanced training is the use of correction, for example, leash corrections, shock, or verbal corrections, along with positive reinforcement. Even if used with a clicker, this type of training does not constitute clicker training. Balanced training is not as effective as clicker training because correction, that is, physical punishment or verbal reprimands, has an inhibitory effect on learning. Some balanced trainers may call what they do reward-based training because they rely heavily on rewards. And some balanced trainers may call what they do marker training to indicate that they do not use a clicker, but rather another marker signal such as the word yes. Bear in mind that the use of correction along with positive reinforcement is balanced training, not clicker training. So what then is clicker training? Well, in a nutshell, clicker training is a highly effective and versatile method of animal training based on the science of behavior and learning. It can be used to train any animal to do anything it is physically able to do. It's the method of training used to train killer whales, dolphins, and all sorts of other animals. It can even be used effectively with people. Clicker training at the most basic level is positive reinforcement training with the use of a marker signal. Positive reinforcement training is training which rewards desired behaviors while ignoring or failing to reinforce undesired behaviors. Typically, the marker signal is made by a handheld mechanical clicker which indicates to the animal exactly which behavior will be rewarded. Each click is followed by a food treat which motivates the animal to repeat the behavior. Once the animal understands what will be reinforced, the clicker is no longer needed. It is important to understand that using a clicker does not constitute clicker training. In fact, clicker trainers do not always use clickers. It's the principles of training that define clicker training as much as it is the use of a clicker. So with that brief background, let me give you a list of 7 clues that will help you identify a real clicker training instructor. Clue number 1. A real clicker trainer uses cues rather than commands. This is a major philosophical difference between clicker training and other types of training. Cues are opportunities for reinforcement, whereas commands are orders, do it or else. In clicker training, we create thinking animals versus passively obedient animals. We encourage active participation and experimentation versus simple compliance. Clue number 2, a real clicker trainer does not use any physical or verbal correction, intimidation, or physical molding, that is, pushing or pulling a dog into position. Clue number 3, a real clicker trainer uses what we call a high rate of reinforcement, that is, up to 20 to 30 food treats per minute. Each click is followed by a food reward, and each click marks a separate behavior. The click ends the behavior. Other reinforcers such as play or what we call life rewards such as going for a walk are also used in training certain behaviors and as reinforcement for behaviors trained with food initially. Again, clicker trainers do not always use clickers. Clue number 4. A real clicker trainer adds the cue after the behavior has been learned rather than as it is being taught. We do this for a couple of reasons. One is that it's easier for the animal to learn, and 2, we don't want to attach the name of the behavior to a less than correct behavior. Clue number 5. A real clicker trainer minimizes body movement during training. We call this clean training, and the purpose is to provide clear communication to the animal and avoid inadvertent cues. Clue number 6. A real clicker trainer minimizes luring and uses it judiciously, understanding its place in training. Luring is holding a piece of food, a finger, or a target stick in front of an animal's nose to move it into position. Clue number 7. A real clicker trainer can describe the basic principles of clicker training, such as what constitutes good clicker mechanics, when and how to add a cue, capturing, shaping, criteria, how to achieve fluency and stimulus control, and much more. In summary, a person is probably a real clicker trainer if she or he uses cues rather than commands and knows the difference between the two, does not use any physical or verbal correction, intimidation, or physical molding in training, uses a high rate of reinforcement. A person is probably a real clicker trainer if she or he adds the cue after the behavior has been learned, minimizes body movement during training, minimizes luring and uses it judiciously. And finally, a person is probably a real clicker trainer if she or he can describe the basic principles of clicker training, such as what constitutes good clicker mechanics, when and how to add a cue, capturing, shaping, criteria, how to achieve fluency and stimulus control, and much more. In summary, a clicker is just a tool used by clicker trainers. Using a clicker does not constitute clicker training. Clicker trainers don't always use clickers, and simply using a clicker does not make someone a clicker trainer any more than using a violin makes someone a violinist.